TitleMatchNetwork.com.
You remember the first name you used in your first match?
Very first match, Mike Awesome.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Right from
that was the very first match, Mike Awesome.
Now, you didn't spend much time here in the States before you got your first break in Japan.
No, I didn't actually, but I worked here for a little over a year. Here, let me just give it to you in order a little bit up to Japan. Started out wrestling with Steve Keirn. Someone made a call to Jerry Jarrett, got me a job up there with USWA. I went up there for 3 months. Like I said, I started in '89. Now we're doing independence around Florida. And 1990, I guess around around March or April, something like that, we're at the USWA. Was there for 3 months. Darn near broke me. Ran my credit card up as like you wouldn't believe, just trying to stay there and survive. It was a good diet plan, though. I lost quite a bit of weight because I wasn't eating the way I should. And actually, after about 3 months, I was like, man, I can't do this anymore. Credit card's maxed out. I got to go home. So, boom, packed my stuff up, came home, and actually then decided, I don't know if this wrestling's really working out. So I went back to college and was actually back in school, my first semester back in, but I was still wrestling independents. And I was actually wrestling for this independent that's, not even 5 miles from my house where I was living at the time. And I was wrestling for free. The guy would bring like a 12-pack and give the guy some beers up there. I didn't want to eat beer, but I didn't care. And actually, I was the heavyweight champ there too. And wrestling for free, heavyweight champ, back in school, thinking, forget this. Wrestling's just not happening. When this guy named Billy Mack was an agent looking for a wrestler to replace Big Al Green, who had just canceled out on going to Japan because he started working for WCW. Wow, that was long. Jeez. So anyways, boom, I went to Japan. I had to make a decision right there. Well, go to Japan, stay in school, can't do both. Give wrestling a shot. And I'm so glad I did. As everybody knows, Horace Hogan is my cousin and his uncle is Hulk Hogan. So Hulk Hogan was wrestling over in Japan, making a name for himself. And my cousin came to me one day and said, hey, Mike, you know what? I want to be a professional wrestler. What do you think about that? And I told him, so do I. Let's do it. Your uncle, he's having great success with it. Let's give it a shot. And we both did, and here I am right now.
How old were you when you decided you wanted to be a wrestler?
Oh, I was probably about 21, 22, something like that. I had always been a wrestling fan, always.
Talk about some of your early memories as being a wrestling fan.
Our earliest memory is my first wrestling match, February 26, 1989. Me and the Bubblegum Kid against the Star Riders. And it was pretty exciting. I had a good time. First match, jitters and all that. But got through it, worked out all right. Even did a little thinking on my feet out there. They praised me for it. So it was pretty cool.
What kind of sports did you play back in school?
I didn't really play in school, but I did a lot of sandlot. And my neighborhood, the way it was set up was my neighborhood, and then there was a main road, and there was another neighborhood across that main road. And we would always have sandlot tournaments against that other neighborhood. It was Kings Forest against Buffalo Estates. And, we had a lot of fun with it.
Is that right here in Tampa?
Yeah, it is. Actually, it's next to the Florida State Fairgrounds. At the time, it wasn't the hood, but now it is.
So you've grown up and lived in Tampa pretty much your whole life?
Yeah, my whole life. Now here in Temple Terrace.
You said you were a wrestling fan when you were a kid.
Oh yeah. The neighbor just about across the street, one house over, the guy, he always went to wrestling. He had 3 kids, and he always took his kids, and he had a station wagon. He'd round up the other kids in the neighborhood. We'd just pile in. We'd go to Fort Hesterly Armory, and oh, geez, it was great. And he always like yelled for the bad guys, and it used to make us so hot, just burn us up. And we were 10-year-old kids. It was great.
Who were some of the people that you liked to watch?
Dusty Rhodes, of course. He was my hero. Jack Briscoe, champ for 2 years while I was, watching. Who else? Dusty Rhodes was the biggest one. He was just incredible at that time.
When was the first time you ever met Dusty?
That would be when I first started training. Dusty was already doing something with Steve Keirn. He was going to get some wrestling going again in Florida. And actually he did. He ran a couple shows, and that's right before he went back to the WWF and did the plumber's child thing. But, I met Dusty right when I first broke in and started training.
Talk about you trained with Steve Keirn.
Yeah.
Talk about how you met up with Steve Keirn and
was in the gym working out one day. Okay. Once I decided I wanted to be a professional wrestler, I knew I had to get in the gym, train. I was always into working out and trying to look good, but I just started really hitting it hard. And everybody in the gym, they all knew what my goal was. Because I worked out for like a year, and I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I just always talked about it. Everybody knew that was my goal, to be a professional wrestler. And one day this guy, I wish I could remember his name, but I can't. But oh well. And this dude comes to me, goes, Mike, I was watching local wrestling the other day, and he goes, I wrote this number down. There's this guy, Steve Keirn. He's got a wrestling school. He goes, maybe it's time for you to go ahead and finally do it. I was like, you're right. It is. Boom. I took that number from him, made the call. Steve said, come on down. His classes were starting, and boom, I went down there and did it.
I read somewhere that you originally were doing accounting.
Yeah. Well, I was, after high school, I did construction work for a year to save money for college. And so then I went to college, and I went to a junior college for 3 years, which, of course, you're only supposed to go for 2 years. And in my third year, that's when I decided I was going to be a professional wrestler. So.
How's the family?
Oh, wait, I got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's better for me to look right in there. When I'm looking at you, I'm not looking at the camera, am I? I need to look right in there and not even look at
fine.
you.
You're looking fine here.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure that when the camera's
I can
going,
squat down there so it's more consistent.
No. I just want to, because I know it looks horrible when people are doing interviews and they're looking all over the place.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, yeah. All right, go ahead.
Was your family supportive of your decision to become a pro wrestler?
Amazingly enough, they were. My mom and dad, I was flipped out. I couldn't believe it. They supported me all the way. They were disappointed that I dropped out of college, but they supported me. So
you kind of broke in the middle, maybe not when it was like old school training or new school training, but what was the training like back then?
Well, no, when I broke in, it was old school training, 100% all the way, totally old school. Because I trained most of '88 and into '89, so it was old school. Yeah.
Talk about some of the stories or memories you have of training.
Well, I got to tell you what the biggest memory is. Very first day we go in for orientation. We do the orientation and all that, and Steve says, okay, does anybody want to get in the ring and check anything out? I said, yeah, I wouldn't mind getting in there and taking a body slam. So a few of the guys, we got in there and, we took some body slams, and half the class did not show up the next day just because of the body slams. They just said, nope. Forget it, not going to do it. And of course, what Steve did, he picked us up and he put us through that mat. Right. I mean, he drove us through it, and it hurt. And other memories, having to hit them ropes every single day, bruise whole side of your whole side's just a big black, blue, nasty looking thing. But yet they're Steve and actually Jimmy Del Rey, Jimmy Backlund at the time. He also, and they are still doing it together, actually training guys. So he was helping Steve train guys then, and man, they used to just make us hit them ropes over and over and over, and it was brutal.
Did you train the same time as Horace did?
No, actually I didn't. I jumped into it a little bit before him, maybe a year before him. He trained with Malenko's. Yeah, with Malenko's.
Is there anybody else we would have heard of that was training around the same time?
Yeah, actually, Dennis Knight. He wrestled as a few things in WWF WWE. I think it was Tex Slazenger or something like that, and a couple gimmicks. Mm-hmm. So he was there, and also another guy. And me and him started at the exact same time, and we were the only two actually to finish the school. And on the first day, there must have been 25, 30 guys. And by the time it was all over, it was just him and I. And Big Al Green, but he came in about a month, maybe 2 months after we were already training. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't really a part of the first group, but so Al Green, he made it through too.
So who did more of the in-ring stuff? Was it Del Rey or was it Keirn?
It was both of them. They were both in the ring doing it. But Del Rey would actually do the move to show us, and Steve Keirn would be in the ring and making sure that we were doing it right. But if it was any bumping move, Del Rey was taking the bumping move. And then we would take it 1,000,000 times.
How long did your training last before you started off on the
Oh, wow. It was close to a year, if not a year. It was the beginning of '88. I don't remember the exact date when I started training, and I had my first match in February 26, 1989. So it was about a year.
We heard from some other people, and I don't remember the time when they trained compared to this, that he didn't smarten you up immediately. The same in your case?
No, he didn't actually. Didn't smarten us up immediately because, at first, like I said, he just had us hitting the ropes, taking back drops, showing us how to take the bumps, and didn't smarten us up at all. The person that smartened me up, which, and like I really needed to be smartened up for wrestling was Lou Perez, because the guys down that were wrestling for, I think it was professional wrestling, PWF or something like that, because Steve, he also had, whatever Dusty Rhodes was running. All the guys down there were really cool, and they said if you needed any help, they'd come down anytime. And so Lou Perez used to help me out, and he was teaching me, he's like, all right, this is how we really do it. It's really do it easy and this. He goes, has anybody smartened you up yet? I was like, no. So it was Lou Perez.
TitleMatchNetwork.com